Hello, and thank you for watching this video. I am self-admittedly letting you know I totally forgot to record our Collaborate session, so you won't be able to hear some of the back and forth, the questions that we might have, but please feel free to reach out to me via email if you have any questions. The purpose of this is really just to help communicate some really important changes that are coming starting after this spring semester for how we're going to advise students. And also, we've got some financial aid information, some nursing stuff, so foundation courses, lots of stuff that we need to talk about. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm Laura Walton, the advising coordinator here, and my email is lwalton@highlands.edu. So early bird advising, the dates this semester, the spring semester, is March 12th through the 23rd. Those dates, I know they're just for 2 weeks. My advice is just if you meet with a student and you're an advisor and you talk about any kind of long-term intrusive, connection, long-term planning, go ahead and document that they've done early bird advising, because the whole goal of EBA is to connect with our students in some way. So go ahead and document that. But technically the week is the 12th through the 23rd. Summer registration is March 12th. There is no early registration for summer. And if there is a note in a student's scorecard that is back to August 19th stating that they did EBA up until April 1st, 2018, so August 19th, 2017 through April 1st, 2018 at midnight, then the student will be able to register on April 2nd for fall semester. If you'd like to contact the students you met with fall semester for EBA and want a list of their names and email addresses, let me know. I can send that to you in a spreadsheet and you can reach back out to them and make sure they understand they're able to register early. And just follow up and see if they might have any follow-up questions this semester. Otherwise, other students will be ready to register April 9th. For as far as the course offerings and what students are able to see, summer is already out there, so they can go to current students, then course offerings to actually see what courses are scheduled for the summer. And then fall should be out towards the end of March, around March 22nd, but this is really just an estimate. Okay, so one of the main questions we've had in advising is, why are we even talking about EBA? I thought we were going to have our Quest for Success, the QEP. So I wanted to talk about what the future of EBA is with Quest for Success, and also get you the information of Elizabeth Tanner. Elizabeth Tanner is our QEP coordinator. She's wonderful. She's in our advising department, and she's very approachable. She's tried to make her rounds to meet most of the faculty and staff on all the campuses, but her email is etanner, TANNER, @highlands.edu, and you need to meet her. She's really cool. So this is what it's going to look like. So this is going to be a very general description of how EBA will be impacted by Quest for Success. So our current students participate right now in EBA. They're going to continue with early bird advising. So as the first cohort comes in of new students in spring 2019, our new to Georgia Highlands students will participate in Quest for Success, while our current students will continue with early bird advising. So as each semester comes and we have new students that come in, they will join the Quest for Success while our current students continue with early bird advising. Now we will hopefully get to this point where we no longer need to do early bird advising because our students are in Quest for Success. We don't have a specific time or time frame or date when that will be. Really, one of the best things about the proposed, plan and implementation of this is we're trying to be flexible. So if something's not working, we're going to redo it. If we feel like we need to change some things, we will. If we think we need to continue with EBA, we will. We're really just going to try to see what works best for us at the time. So we appreciate the flexibility of that. So we have some discontinued courses that are all happening kind of all at once. So after this summer semester, FCCS 1100, Freshman College Computer Studies, will no longer be offered. We'll have 5 sections online this summer. It's the Area B institutional option. It's the elective there for Area B. So the option now is going to be for students to take a special topics course. So these special topics courses will be listed in course offerings as GH, and then where the XX is where it's the division. So GH, HU for humanities, MA for math, SC for science, SS for social science, and they'll all be followed with 2901. This also brings us to this topic, that FCST 1010, the first year experience, is also going to be canceled. So this spring 2018 semester is the last semester that FCST 1010, the college experience, will be required for those students that are in learning support. So a large portion of our learning support students were required to take this course, and it would count for their physical education elective. So the requirement will be gone this after spring of 2018. We will have a couple sections this summer online. If you have a student that just really wants to take the course, they're able to, but it will be online. Otherwise, they're certainly fine with taking the physical education elective. If you happen to come across a student that has this FCST 1010 hold, just have them get in touch with us or let us know who they are, and we can just take that hold off. So with the cancellation of FCST 1010, there will be, we're working on, or I'm not working on, people are working on an overlay of the special topics of those student learning outcomes that we had for FCST 1010. So we're hoping to get some of that out in the special topics as well. Okay, History 1000 is U.S. and Georgia history. This was a history course that just nursing and dental hygiene and human services were allowed to take. It doesn't transfer to other schools. It also doesn't transfer towards our bachelor's programs. So I'm honestly kind of happy to see it go. American history and government will take place of that requirement, which is how we've been advising our students to do that anyway. So now it's just out there that History 1000 is going to be gone. Now the big one. So the big one is going to be the fact that we will no longer be offering, after this spring 2018 semester, Math 0989, or Math 0987, and English 0989. So we will not have those foundation learning support classes after this spring semester. So let's talk about how we're going to advise those students that are our current students and how they need to take whatever courses they need to take their next term. Now, when we come for orientations for summer and for fall and for those newly admitted students, be looking for new documents for that, because I think those details are kind of still getting ironed out. But that we will have them in time for summer orientations and fall orientations. So let's just talk about how we're going to advise these students as we meet with them right now. Okay, so this spring 2018, it could have been fall 2017 if they took spring off. Either way, let's talk about those students that either failed English 0989 or waived English 0989. So just put it off one semester. For their next term, if it's summer or if it's fall, they're going to now take English 1101 and English 999. So think about it. So the students who failed the Foundations English course is now going to be in that credit level English 1101 class. Now they will have that 999 class to help support them through it, but it is going to be important to make sure that we get the message of our resources out to our students to understand that we do have the tutorial center, and that you don't have to have an appointment to go to the tutorial center, and that we are also trying to, I believe, start a writing center. So there's some things in the works that's going to help those students out that are going to be thrown into that English 1101 course. Those courses are still going to be linked. You still need to pass both of them, but at minimum, they need to pass that English 1101, or they're going to have to retake them both the next term. Okay, so this next one is no different. So let's say they passed English 0989. They made an A or a B. They will take English 1101 by itself the next term. And then they passed English 0989. If they made a C, then 999 and 1101 will be the courses they take their next term. Okay, so let's talk about math. So Math 0987, 0989 no longer will be offered after this spring semester. So for those students that failed or waived those foundation math courses, their only option their next term is going to be to take Math 1001, which is quantitative reasoning, and Math 997, the support for quantitative reasoning. So you'll see, for those of you who advise our STEM majors, that Math 0989 is a STEM math, but we're putting them in a Math 1001 and 997 course, which is a non-STEM pathway. I think it's going to be very critical with how we relay this message to students. We don't want them to feel discouraged that we're messing with a timeline. So my thought on this is two things. Math 1001 and 997, when they're in it that semester, their timeline is exactly the same. So they either waived or they failed that first Math 0989. That same semester, they're at minimum going to be able to get a credit level math course. And that math course, they're going to be reformatting the content so that it will provide more college algebra in that course, still within the content of the requirements for Math 1001, but it still should help them with the Math 1111. Now, another way to look at this is the fact that our students that were in a STEM pathway, about 30%, according to our math faculty, say that those students probably should be in a non-STEM pathway anyway. So I'm hoping we can identify those students now, and then we will be able to get them in a non-STEM pathway and help them be a little more successful possibly in the long run. Okay, so moving on, if they passed 0987, they'll go directly into 1001 no matter what grade they made in that 0987. And if they passed 0989, then they're going to do the same. So 1111 and 0999, which is no different than before. Okay, so there's some pre-nursing requirements that are changing. Now, this is not going to impact our April 2018 applicants. So this is literally just for April 2019 and beyond. So these are possibly the students we're going to be talking to now. None of those students that are actually applying, they are no longer going to require Psych 2103, Human Growth and Development. They're not going to require that Special Topics or FCCS or Nutrition. They will use the Psych 2103 and that Area B Special Topics towards their bachelor's degree. So if they've already taken it, it's not the end of the world. But then that Biology 2190, they'll only need if they took Biology 1010 to complete their Area D Science. Be looking for some new changes that will be coming soon from nursing that will come out after April. Also, Psych 2103, Human Growth and Development, starting fall of 2018, will have a prerequisite of Psych 1101, Intro to Psychology, or Intro to Sociology, Sociology 1101, and that's starting fall of 2018. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about financial aid. Now, I have a disclaimer that I don't know financial aid, but I do know this. Now, I know typically we want to just kind of close our ears and say, I don't understand financial aid. I don't want to mess anybody up. I say we still kind of do that, but I do think understanding this part of financial aid will be really important to help our students be successful. There's some big changes coming, and they're really exciting, but I want to make sure you understand this is just an example. So the amounts that you see in this example is not every student, okay? So the old way that Pell worked was that if a student took 12 credits their fall semester and then 12 credits their spring semester, they would have 0 left over of Pell in the summer. Now, starting this summer, 2018, if they get Pell, if they've already qualified, now we're assuming that they've got their FAFSA in, we're assuming that they've got their documents in, we are assuming that financial aid has already squared them away and they have good standing, everything that financial aid does, God bless them. So $5,000, let's say for this student, they took 12 credits in the fall, they would get half of that amount, so $2,500. And then they took 12 credits in the spring, they would get half of that amount, so $2,500. If they came summer and took 12 credits, potentially they could also get the same amount, so half of that, so $2,500. Now, we're not going to have our students take 12 credits in the summer, so this box right here will help you advise them on what they should take. So there is a 6 credit minimum for summer to qualify for that Pell if they've already qualified for it, obviously. But if they take between 6 and 8 credits, they'll get half of that amount. If they take 9 to 11 credits, they'll get 3/4 of that amount. And then, of course, 12 credits would be all of it, but we really want to steer them away from doing that. So if you have questions, finaid@highlands.edu or see your financial aid counselor on the campus. The last thing I want to talk about is our website. I really encourage you to go to advising.highlands.edu. There's a lot of good materials on there and resources under the faculty resources section. So check that out. Thank you so much for attending.